Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series. Straight after Arsenal have been, frankly, outplayed, outclassed, and slightly embarrassed by the performances of a few in their first game of the Premier League season against Brentford, in which they lost 2-0 to the Bees in a humbling and reality hitting result. And just to start the show, it's probably worth saying that Kieran Tierney, Emil Smith Rowe, Sambi Lokonga, you guys can genuinely hold your heads a little bit higher, actually quite significantly higher than the other players in that pitch, and Bukayo Saka when he came on as well, because beyond that, beyond them, it really genuinely was a very poor performance. And it's not. Is it surprising? No, it's not really surprising. I mean, preseason was bad. Preseason was bad. There was nothing inspiring about any of the displays that we had. Um, People sometimes come to me and go, Tom, like we come to you for positivity, Tom. We come to listen to you to get kind of the positive spin on things. I don't necessarily think that you should look at TGT as coming to me and going, look, Tom, give me some positivity. We can talk about some positives you want. there's not many. We can try. But frankly, it's not representative of how I feel. It's not representative of how I know most of you feel. And it would just be frankly lying. It would be Thomas frankly lying to you, to be real. So let's be honest about the situation. Look, it's not improving. It's one game. Like the old me, a year ago might sit here and say, look, first game of the season, like a lot can change. Like, whatever. I can't even come up with reasons to try and defend it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, the positive is we didn't lose 3-0, says Lossless, and we will get to plenty of your comments in a second. I just need to vent because I don't believe, and I am using this already 90 plus minutes after into a brand new season. I don't think the club have the bottle to do what we know they may end up needing, if not already, to do. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't think they will. In our piece of Football London today, in which me, Chris, and some of the guys in the Arsenal team, Kaya, did our predictions. My hot take, as it's described in that piece, was that I don't think, no matter where Arsenal are, no matter what the form is, no matter their position in the table, no matter how bad things on the pitch get, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think the club have the bottle to get rid of him. I don't think it will happen. I just can't see it. I don't know if that's affected by a documentary that's going on at the same time. I just don't think they would do it. I think we could lose our opening three. Hell, I think we could lose our opening 5 games. I still don't think he'd go. I still think the club would back him. It just, there's no, okay, let's look. I can wax lyrical and wax about kind of non-truths or whatever you want to call it, or just use expletives or say things, just waffle, basically, like I'm doing right now. I could do that for an hour. Let's look at this from an analytical standpoint. Following Balogun, right? Immediately, what confused me was when he got taken off, I saw a list of tweets saying that he's not ready. Is that clearly he's not good enough yet? This was a premature Balogun. He's got a long way to go. I'm sorry. The kid didn't get a chance on the ball. We didn't create anything for him. By the time he came off, he'd had less touches of the ball than any other player on the pitch. And you might say, oh, well, he should have dropped deeper. He should have got himself into the... No, that's the main problem that we've had with our striker for so long, is that they keep dropping too deep. They keep desperately trying to get involved with play, so that when we do get up the other end of the pitch and try to create something, they're not in the box because they've been dropping deep so much to try and get involved with the play. We should have the quality, and we do have the quality, of players like Saka, like Pepe, like Smith Rowe, like Tierney, to build up the play. And I'm adding Lokonga into that because he really did help with our build-up play today when we were in possession with the guys that really did kind of be a bit more proactive. Like, we have the guys that can build it up, but we just didn't create. The system is so it lacks any kind of dynamism. It lacks any kind of invention, imagination. It's a boring Arsenal team. Let's call it what it is. It's boring. It's really boring. It's to watch Arsenal right now and to see the patterns of play. I see nothing. I see no patterns. I see no triangles. I don't see anything that really gives me kind of hope other than the simple fact is, if you're going into the game to watch Arsenal, you're going to see Arsenal play the ball out to Granit Xhaka or Lokonga. They're then going to spread the play out to Kieran Tierney, and then he's going to try and whip it in the box. That's the main thing Arsenal do, is they get it to their left back and he whips the ball into the box. That's our number one move. And I'm sorry, but Tierney, whilst he gave a lot today, his deliveries needed to improve. But that's a real nitpick. That's a real nitpick of his game, because besides that, he was the only one really trying. If his deliveries were better in the game, maybe we could have created something and maybe scored something more. But you can't put all of the responsibility onto Tierney and say, if his deliveries were better, we'd win. Because you've got to do more than just throw the ball into the box with Tierney. You got to offer more than that. Smith Rowe was really trying to make stuff happen. Some of the tricks and some of the flicks, some of the composure to take it around some of the Brentford players at times was really top class from Smith Rowe. And I just felt so bad for those two to have to be on the losing team. I really did, because they didn't deserve to be, because their performances were really committed and really they just kept fighting. And the kids kept fighting to the end. You have to say that. Like, they really put some of the experienced guys on the pitch, of few there are, to shame. Genuinely. And I don't think it matters if we'd have had Lacazette. I don't think it matters if we'd have had Aubameyang, because we just don't create anything for the striker. Martinelli, there was a time when Martinelli really should have been in the box. But again, this system of having the main central striker dropping so deep means that when we create and actually do turn the ball over a little bit quicker, there's no one in there. And Martinelli wasn't in there for the chance that was created on the left-hand side. There was another chance where Martinelli could have set through Balogun in behind in the first half. He didn't. I don't know. It's probably more down to Martinelli's lack of vision in that moment than an actual system. But just that, the over-reliance on the wide areas is a real concern. It's a real big concern that we just seem to rely so much on trying to do things with width. And yet when we come through the field centrally, it just doesn't do anything. We'd have nothing incisive about Smith Rowe gunning for that line. No options to really pass through because they were blocked off well by the defence, sure. But the runs were poor and the system was poor, and he had to take a shot that could have maybe been better. And that's just the forward line. Defensively, that's something that we'd look to improve under Mikel Arteta. Now, I can sit here and I can say what I think of Ben White as a player, and I think that he's going to be a good signing for us in the long term. But it wasn't a great audition today. He made some significant mistakes. He was really caught flat-footed at times. And to let the ball bounce right in front of him for the second goal is really amateurish. It is, fact of matter. Like, it is an amateurish move to allow the ball to bounce in the box. Leno, I really didn't blame him too much for the first goal, because it was a great strike near post. The obvious response is to say keeper should never let anything in there near post. It was a great shot, and I give credit to Canos for that strike. But beyond that, I can't defend Leno in any way. Distribution, awful. The way he managed the box, terrible. Couldn't even instruct his defenders to put a man between himself and the opposition player so he could actually get out and claim the ball from long crosses. Really poor. We're unprepared. We're not ready. We're not improving. And the season is looking already very bleak with Chelsea and Manchester City. I wasn't expecting anything from those games, to be honest, in regards to points. This was a must-win game at the start of the season, knowing. But we're going to go in likely into our fourth game, bottom of the table, after no points picked up. And maybe even no goals. That's a genuine possibility that we could be bottom with 3 games gone, no goals scored, and a significant amount conceded. It's realistic. That is what could happen. And then you get to a certain stage, and I would make a decision. I know you guys would make a decision. I just don't think the club have the bottle to make a decision, frankly. We will wait and see if they do. Anyway, there's my 10-minute monologue. There's my 10-minute rant. Let's get through some of your thoughts and your feelings in the chat box and see how you're feeling, because I'm sure that you can you can empathise with me, and you've got the empathy to show that you're not happy about this either. Let's go. Tom says, Tom, Brentford has been my championship team for years. It might be better for better for your blood pressure to support the Bees for a bit until things settle on the Gunners front. It hurts. Yeah, Man, usually I'd turn around and say, how dare you ever consider trying to support another team? But I've real empathy for you, mate. I really do. Manu says, mate, what the hell was that throw in? After that, almost another corner going in. There is zero communication between the goalkeeper and the back line. It's just uncoached. It's really amateurish. It's just basic Sunday league, not even Sunday, school ground stuff. It's stuff you get taught in PE lessons. Don't let it bounce. Talk to your defenders. It's really basic, and none of that's going on. Really awful. Thracian says, why was Arteta smiling when talking about Laka and Aubameyang being out? It's like he was happy. Look, I don't know what's going on with Lacazette and Aubameyang both being ill at the same time. Sure, is it possible? Absolutely. Is it coincidental? Maybe. Is it weird? It's weird. Let's be real. It's weird. Stephen, oh, by the way, there's a couple of things before I go on to a few more of your comments that are very, very Arsenal-esque right now. One of our own midfielders, Lucas Torreira, whilst the game is going on, you may have seen this, 9 o'clock tonight, tweeted saying what a lovely time he's having in Spain with some friends. Our own employed midfielder, while the game is going on, is tweeting, enjoying his time in Spain. Honestly, how much of a joke can we become at times? It just really does go beyond. It's ridiculous. And not beyond that, we had 4 right backs in the squad today. 4. And I include Ainsley Maitland-Niles because he's played a significant amount there. We have 1 starting in Callum Chambers, who's arguably the least of those 4 right backs because he's actually more of a centre-back, but has shown to be our best right back at times. Bellerin was on the bench, Maitland-Niles was on the bench, Cedric is on the bench. We take Chambers off and we bring the backup left back on at right back. What? I mean, I can actually kind of make sense of it because actually Tavares might be better than Bellerin, Cedric and Maitland-Niles at right back. But that in itself does really symbolise the comedy act that is Arsenal Football Club right now. It really does encapsulate it. And yes, Nambro, you can say he can play right back. Sure, he can play right back. Xhaka can play left back, as he showed last season. And I say can very loosely. But he's not a right back, is he? He's not a right back. He is a left back. And it would make a bit of semblance of sense if he was the only option on the bench. But there were 3 natural right backs on the bench. It didn't matter in the grand scheme of the game or in terms of affecting the result. It was just comical that is what happened. That is what is comical about that situation. Let's go to the real Yanis. Thank you so much for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate it. Says, I actually felt we would lose with that starting 11. Need 3 upgrades to the starting lineup, and Arteta needs to realise his 11 isn't good enough to implement what he wants. If you can get it out of a team, we don't even know. Look, I kind of go back and forth with this kind of line of thought to say that Arteta's trying to do something. I don't quite know what. He doesn't seem to have the players to do what he wants to do. Is it right of him to try and push through with that style when he doesn't have the players? Part of my mind goes, well, the alternative is kicking long from the back, which is a really kind of 50-50 kind of play. And I'm not sure that we have the players to deal with that kind of system either. But whatever he's trying to do is not working, and it's not changing, and it's not changing in game, and it's not very fluid either. So there you go. Mark says, it's my worst nightmare, but if Arteta stays, I can see us going down. Maybe that's the only way we can get rid of the Cronkies. I know it's only 1 game, but I just see no game plan. He's out of his depth. Fuad says, Xhaka wanted to leave. We were willing to let him go, and tonight he's our captain. It says it all, really, mate. And my answer to that would be, it's not surprising Xhaka's captain, really, is it? It's a talking point that he was willing to go, happy to go, saying how much he liked Rome, and he's given the captain's armband. I don't really look at anyone else bar Tierney as a genuine kind of vocal leader in that pitch right now. Like, Ben White's unproven. Maybe he could be a captain one day. Lokonga led with his performance, as did Smith Rowe, as did Saka when he came on. But they're not. I don't look at them as very big vocal characters to me. Chambers, no. Marine, no. Xhaka has leadership qualities, but it's just he was the only one that made any kind of semblance of sense in the regards to just on paper being a captain. But that goes to show what is lacking in this team. It really, really does. Some bloke says, if we need to replace Arteta, we might need to go for the caretaker route. I'm seriously beginning to think that the best move would be bringing Wenger temporarily. Paul says, we were hardly using the middle of the pitch. Emile Smith-Rowe being asked as an overlap on the right instead of staying in the middle where he can affect the game. And this is another thing I talk. Now, I actually may have been wrong in my assessment that Emile Smith-Rowe was guilty of maybe skewing too far right or left during his play. I would much rather the number 10 stayed more disciplined, filled that hole behind the striker so that the striker wasn't effectively naturally being forced to drop into that position. But it does ever so slightly to me, and I think, Paul, you raise a good point. It's, for me anyway, definitely raising this kind of idea that it's a coach's theory. It's a coach's move to instruct Emile Smith-Rowe to deoccupy, remove himself from that central number 10 role and overlap or overload with the wide areas. And that, right, I understand the idea. I understand the idea of creating overloads in wide areas, sure. But when that means that you then have nothing in the middle, your striker naturally drops in to fill that space. And then when we actually create something in the final third, there's nothing to be seen. There's no opportunity to give the ball to the striker because he's not in the right place at the right time. And it's a really flawed way of playing. And it just looks to be the only idea that we've got. And that's a big problem. Suhaim says, the problem with Arteta is that he brought in Marie, trusted Chambers and Xhaka, kept Bellerin and El Neni. The players he chooses and trusts is the issue. And we do still have a lot of deadwood. I mean, the fact that Reece Nelson came on today, like, no disrespect to Reece. He's a talented young kid. I don't think Arsenal is his level. I think that he needs to go to a Crystal Palace, maybe a championship side. I don't see I was about to say a top four club then. But you know what I mean, a team that wants to be in the top four. The fact that Reece Nelson is coming on for Arsenal in 2021-22 season in the first game off the bench, no matter that we've got a few injuries, I just think that in itself is indicative of and really kind of does show how lacking in depth this team is for quality. It really is lacking. And man, we could have done with a Joe Willock in the middle corner. let's not do that. PJT says, how bad will it look if Arsenal again go reactionary in the market? Many times we've seen Arsenal either panic buy or rush transfers after a disastrous result. Why can't we be more prepared? I have nothing, PJ. I can't give you an answer. I don't know. I don't know why we aren't more prepared, because I can sit here and do 40 odd tactical breakdowns, tens of different players suggested in different positions that are gettable, say who we can get, look at the money that's available and that's been spent, and say, look, why didn't we move for these guys? Why didn't we improve the team? And it's always going to come back to the coach still. I am getting to that stage where I don't think it matters if we bring in a Maddison, an Odegaard, whoever, a Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, an Abraham, a Martinez, whoever. I don't think it matters who comes in at this stage, because until we start showing some idea and invention and something different to what we are showing, what's going to change in terms of results? What's going to change in regards to what we're seeing on the pitch, no matter who is pulling on the red and white shirt or the lightning bolts as it was today? I just don't see what's changing. And I do feel like we're a bit going around in circles at the moment because I don't know what's going to change. Oliver Young says 2 goals and 2 shots on target when both could have been ruled out. Considering the available lineup, are we overreacting with what is still a terrible loss? Oliver, I appreciate you trying to, balance the argument. It is definitely important that you tried to do that. And it's a fair point. Look, they had 2 good, I'd say good shots. They had 2 clear opportunities to score and they took both of them. Arsenal didn't create anything bar, you would say, the Balogun chance, which I don't think is a penalty. I don't think there's enough of that for it to be a penalty, to be honest. And I'd be really done in if Arsenal were given a penalty against them for something similar. You had the Pepe chance, which was David Raya saved in the last few seconds, but by that point, the game's gone. And we had Smith-Rowe's shot after really driving through the middle of the pitch. Well, we really didn't create anything in big moments. And once again, it felt like there was a point in the game, I think about 16, 17 minutes in, Arsenal had 70% of the possession. And we'd done nothing with it. Like, we'd had created nothing of real kind of of opportunity. Martinelli really, I love Martinelli, and I think he's got a great future ahead of him. And I think he's really talented, but there is something I think a little bit lacking in his kind of in the footballing brain kind of sense. I don't know if he, and to be fair, there is certainly an element of the coaching side of things with Martinelli. I don't think he knows what his role is. I don't think that was very clear to him what his role was today and how he was supposed to be playing under Arteta. I don't think that was made clearly enough to him because I think he was very, very, he didn't look very kind of, what's the right word? Not committed. He didn't look very directed in the way that he was playing. It was very erratic the way that Martinelli played. So, and I think that is more of a coaching thing than necessarily him as a player. Josh says, how nervous did Leno look playing out? And it's, again, I can't get over the distribution from the goalkeeper. You've had all summer to sign a goalkeeper. All summer. It is slow. Like it is, and I've talked about kind of the psychological reason as to why Arsenal fans, including myself, sometimes perceive the transfer window and the way that we move for players to be slow because we're so eager to learn new information. We're on it every single day. We're constantly refreshing our transfer screens, trying to find out the latest information. And that does certainly make you feel like things are being extended and going on longer. But the problem is the reality of the fact is that now when we sit here on the 13th of August, after the first game of the season, having lost 2-0 against a promoted team, that to me is saying that we've had plenty of time to sort out the fact that we go into this game with Karl Hein as our backup goalkeeper. That is a massive red flag. And frankly, if this was a make or break summer for Edu, already it's a failure. It's a failure because we've not prepped ahead of an important game where 3 points, if you remember, we missed out on top 4 last season by 4 points, and that's not to the credit of Arteta, but we missed out on it by 6 points. Did I say 4? 6 points we missed out on top 4 last season. We've dropped 3 today. Those 3 points could be insanely important come the end of the season, say we change things around. And we could have got those 3 points had we prepared better. That's the problem. And it is, if we'd have won this game and then added players a little bit later on, we probably would be talking about this very differently. Absolutely. Why wouldn't we? It's a very different context. But the fact of the matter is we lost through a lack of invention. We lost through a lack of creativity. We lost because of defensive mistakes, especially on our right-hand side. We lost also because the right-hand side looked very devoid of backup for Pepe. Chambers didn't offer anything. Did Chambers even cross the ball in the entire game? I'm struggling to think of a cross from Chambers. I might be wrong. I'm struggling to think of one. But if they're not looking at the right back position now as a serious area where we need I mean, you look at PSG, right? And I know that they're on a completely different planet to us. But last season they had Florenzi on loan. And in the past, they've had some, so-so right backs. Ashraf Hakimi comes in, scores on his first game because he was really proactive. Now, Hakimi is dreamland. Hakimi is like on a different level to what Arsenal should be targeting. But it's the point that they as a club have gone out and signed a right back that is taking them to that next level because their ambitions are to go and win the Champions League. Our ambitions are much lower than that. Our ambitions are just to get in the Champions League, not to win the Champions League. That is, I haven't got the words to describe what that is. Ask a Chelsea fan and they'll be able to describe it to you. But for me, we just want to be in the Champions League and we're not doing enough to put ourselves there at all. We're just not doing enough to give ourselves the best chance, which in it anyway is a massive long shot with United, with Liverpool, with Chelsea, with City, with Leicester, who are good. And I'm going to say that with Aston Villa, who look like they've done some great business despite losing Jack Wilshere, despite losing Jack Grealish. So it's, I wish I could sit here for those that do come to the channel and want to be bathed in some optimism, which I try and in. That's where we are, is that I can't give you anything more than what I've said there. I don't really I can't go on much longer because it's getting to the point now where I've got nothing more to say, and I don't think we will just be going around in circles anyway. So that's what it is. Arsenal lose 2-0 against Brentford. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the 8 a.m. update show. But other than that, enjoy what's left of your day. Have a fantastic weekend if I don't see you before that. But yeah. Have a pleasure, guys. I'll see you very, very soon. Drop a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new. And as always, up the Arsenal.